Good morning or good evening for everyone. I'm glad I can tell you about Astronomers in Schools project. Let's start. The project was run in Poland by Polish Astronomical Society, which is an organization of professional astronomers with nearly 300 members and with great experience with communicating astronomy or educational projects. The idea was simple. Some schools invite sometimes people of various professions for a meeting with their students to talk about their job, what is interesting in it. For example, I was invited for such meeting by my primary school, and it was one of inspiration for this project. In 2019, when we started this project, the International Astronomical Union had 100 years anniversary, and they prepared some global projects for communicating astronomy. In addition to that, we proposed to schools in Poland that astronomers can travel to them for meetings with students. And we intended it to be free of charge for schools, so they don't have to pay. I'm wondering if you can guess how many schools participated, applied for this project. Here is a map of all schools. We received over 1,800 applications from schools. This is a huge number. We didn't expect so big number. Total number of schools in Poland is something like 20,000, maybe a bit more. So we may say that 10% of all schools in our country wanted astronomer to meet with their students. That shows how interesting astronomy is for teachers, for schools, for students, generally for society. Are we able to manage so big number of schools? How many astronomers are in Poland? It's difficult to calculate, but we may estimate based on number of members of International Astronomical Union. 169 Polish astronomers are members, or number of members of Polish Astronomical Society, so we may say that there are 200, maybe 300 astronomers, active astronomers in Poland, in science or in planetariums. And when we ask them, we announce this idea, we receive over 50 astronomers responded as volunteers for this project. Astronomers are very busy people, so finally about 30 of them really visited schools. So I think it's still very large response from community of scientists. Here in this map, in green, you may see schools which were selected for visits. This was distributed, chosen mainly by geographical distribution, because we gave freedom for astronomers to choose schools which they wanted to visit. They started with their neighborhood usually, but also some astronomers traveled for large distances. And in later stage of project, we planned to visit more and more schools which are and large distance from astronomical institutions. Unfortunately, COVID stopped our project, disrupted it, so we must now wait for better times to continue that. Finally, we selected over 200 schools and 180 was visited. These numbers below show an average number of selected schools per astronomer and average number of visited schools per astronomer. These numbers might be interesting for those who are thinking about similar projects in your countries. We didn't have strict rules for meetings. There were some kinds of presentations, talks, discussions, workshops. It really depended on the school, whether it was primary school, secondary school, on the age of students. You talk in a different way to 7 years old children, or maybe 14 years old, or maybe 18 years old, almost adult people. And The individual meetings were results of arrangement between an astronomer and between a school. We tried to distribute some materials for schools, mainly for teachers, for example, some brochures, very nice posters. We had also some sets of cards postcards for students, and there was idea of meteorites. I will talk about it a bit later. Here are a few photos from schools. These are photos which were sent to us from schools. They were usually taken after meetings, so you see group photos. But here, for example, is one very active group during meeting. Some schools wanted classes with very small groups, and other schools gathered their students in large halls. It was prepared like the school wanted, small group or larger group. The idea of meteorites, when you visit, for example, some science festivals, you may meet some institutions to present their collections of meteorites. With discussions about that, the idea was that we can take some meteorites during visit at school and show to children so they can touch it, take in a hand. So we have something real to show them. And the first idea was to borrow meteorites from institutions which have their collections, of course, some common meteorites, not this very unique, expensive, but anyway it was difficult. And someone asked why Polish Astronomical Society don't buy own meteorites. Yes, great idea. We succeeded with doing that, and we now have a few sets of meteorites which are distributed in a few cities. So astronomers from these cities can easily take these meteorites when they travel to school. Here are a few samples of meteorites. These sets are from various kinds of meteorites and usually have at least one very famous, like here this black one is Chelyabinsk, here is also Chelyabinsk meteorite. And we wanted also that at least one is big enough to take it in a hand. We hope we can extend this collection in future to have distributed in more cities. Unfortunately, COVID disrupted our project, like many other projects in the world. And in March of previous year, all schools in Poland were closed and shifted into virtual classes. At the end of March, there was total lockdown of a country. It was prohibited to travel between cities and even walk in a street. Later, some restrictions were lighter or more serious. By now, majority of schools are still in virtual classes. We hope that when COVID will be gone, we can continue the project for next years. I think it's enough for 10 minutes talk. Thank you very much. I hope that might inspire some of you to prepare similar projects in your countries. Thank you, goodbye.